Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm here in New York City. My name is Bobby Haber. I'm here with my partner, Joanne Abbott-Green. I hope everybody's doing okay. And it's my sincere pleasure to welcome you to our Mondo Conversation series. We thank all of you for sharing part of your day today with us. We look forward to seeing you again in the coming weeks. And of course, at Mondo NYC on October the 13th through the 16th. Today, we are proud to present the fourth of our monthly Mondo International Development Series, Be Present Everywhere While Staying Home. Today's panel is an important and a timely one. It's called The Future of Festivals, Live Music Gatherings in 2021 and Beyond. We're looking forward to a terrific discussion and, following the panel, a very special live performance from Sofia Viola. Before we begin, I want to offer a special shout out to Lyric Find for its support of this series. Now I'd like to welcome our moderator, Allie Silver. Hey, Allie.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Allie is the founder of Free Radical Productions, a music management and consulting company specializing in South American artists. In the past 7 years, Free Radical has produced and managed over 40 international tours in over 37 countries throughout Europe, the United States, Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Latin America, and at some of the most prestigious venues and festivals worldwide. Her critically acclaimed band therapy consulting program and workshop helps artists and artist professionals from all over the world develop personalized strategies for international career development. Allie has worked in the world music industry for the past 14 years, from managing ZZK Records in Buenos Aires to festival production and radio host for the Chicago World Music Festival. She's been an invited speaker at international music conferences and universities, including the Asia Pacific Music Meeting in South Korea, this World Music Festival at Formosa in Taiwan, and she's been a guest lecturer at Berklee College of Music, Masters of Global Music and Entertainment in Valencia, Spain. Allie is honored to have served as a Samurai jury member at the World Music Expo, and she is also the co-founder of Women of the World, a networking group for women in the world music industry. It's a sincere pleasure to have Allie and welcome this amazing panel from all over the world. As I said, we're 4 continents tonight, and we couldn't be more excited. Allie, thank you. Thank you, panel. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Bobby. I forgot it was such a long intro, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, the whole Mondo NYC team for having us. I'm so excited to be here and to have invited some all-star colleagues from around the world to help discuss this topic, which I find to be one of the most burning questions on everyone's mind for those in the music industry, for those music fans all over the world. What is going to happen to live music? What is going to happen to the festivals? What can we expect? So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Don't forget that we have the chat function, so you can be chatting us some questions, getting to know each other, introduce yourselves there, network a little bit. I also want to give a big shout out to Robert Singerman, who's been my co-host for this series, who's on there. Hey, Robert, and all of our friends from around the world who are tuning in. So without any further ado, I would love to introduce our team of panelists from all around the world. I'll give a brief little intro of each of you and then let each of you tell a little bit about your festival and the situation of what each of your countries is in right now, because I know, here in Berlin, it is completely different compared to the US, compared to Mexico, compared to all over. So we have Gil Carniel from Israel, from Sunbeat Festival, Jerusalem Sacred Music Festival, and Soundports Festival, and many more. Erika Elliott from Summer Stage NYC. We have Lucia Anaya, who also goes by Uchi, from Mexico, from Bajidora Festival and Traición Ceremonia, who also has her own artist and production company, Derretira. And Matu Malvil from Spain, who is here representing Mallorca Live Festival. So thank you all so much for taking the time to be here. We all so appreciate it.
Thank you, Ali.
No problem. So let's start. If each one of you want to give us a little introduction, tell us about what your festival is about, what you do in the festival, and we'll go from there. Maybe let's start with Erika.
All right. My name's Erika Elliott. I'm the Executive Artistic Director at the Summer Stage Festival here in New York City. We're a nonprofit festival that presents at our main stage in Central Park. It's a 5,000 outdoor free venue. And then in about 13 parks around New York City. We consider ourselves the largest presenter of free arts and culture in New York City. And most of what we were doing is music, but of all types, from opera to hip hop and everything in between. And then also run a jazz festival, Charlie Parker Jazz Festival, which sadly would be taking place this weekend if we were not in COVID, but that always happens the weekend of Charlie Parker's birthday, a 3-day festival. We run a marionette theater in Central Park. And I'm happy to be here to talk about what we're all going through.
All right, Gil?
Hello, my name is Gil Karniel. I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm a founder and artistic director of several festivals in Israel. As Ali said, one is called Sunbeat Festival, which is global beats festival, and one is Jerusalem Sacred Music Festival that I used to be the artistic director for 8 years, the founder and artistic director of this festival. And Soundports Festival, which is making like cultural connection between Tel Aviv and Istanbul, collaboration between promoters from both cities. And now I'm working on a series of events called Shamans of Sound, that's trying to to let the people experience music and find more deep ways of experience music. Like, for example, the last event was around live piano meditation, which took place in the Tel Aviv Museum of Art. And yeah, this is what is most interesting for me, is to take the audience beyond the familiar experience, like the two-dimension experience. Yeah, that's it.
Great.
Happy to be here tonight.
All right, Uchi, let's jump over to Mexico.
Hi, my name is Lucia Anaya, but everyone calls me Uchi. I run my own agency called Derretida, which works collaboratively with some festivals like Baidora, where I do the curation and talent buying, and Acamba, which is part of also like of the same group of promoters that does Baidora. I also run a collective called Traición, where we have a stage at Festival Ceremonia, which is focused to visibilize artists from the LGBT community. And I'm also working with some producers from Brazil and Mexico, more in the side of artist development. And currently, I'm working as a consultant for a new company in Mexico, built in Mexico, called Music Battles, which is a new music platform based on gaming and music, a new way of distribute music through gaming. So that's it.
Perfect. Matu, last but not least.
Hello, Ali, and hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting. My name is Matu Malville. I work in the organization of Mallorca Live Festival. I'm responsible for the MLF Pro, which is the music industry conference, and for the sponsorships of the government. I've been working with them since the very beginning. I saw the project grow a lot in the last years, and this is our 5th edition in 2020. I also work here, I live here in Ibiza, and I also work in other artistic productions, normally during the summer. And yeah, basically that's.
Perfect, perfect. So excited to have you all here. I love how we have so many varied locations and types of events and experiences. So let's do a little check-in first, just to sort of check the baseline of where everyone is at. So maybe we could have each of you one by one tell us, let's just get the obvious and the negative out of the way first, so then we can focus on the positive and the solutions, but it's important to check in and see where everyone's at. So let us know what the situation, what the current COVID situation has been on the impact for your festivals and events, how you've been dealing with it, and I guess just a bit of the context of what's going on in your country or your city.
I'll go first since you called on me first last time around. So I'm in New York City. I'm specifically in the Bronx, but we as a festival typically announce our season in March. So we had a fully booked season, a couple hundred artists confirmed to perform this summer in New York City, both Central Park and around the other boroughs. And of course, none of that can happen. The current situation is we're still very much on lockdown, although the city is allowing at this point gatherings of 50 or more. September 1st, they're supposed to expand that to be 100 or more, but still have not authorized any permitting of any sort for live music event gatherings. So that really applies to private gatherings and religious ceremonies and other things. There's been a lot of lobbying on the ground with my organization and others, really trying to galvanize and push the issue. Not only the festivals are deeply impacted, but we're seeing a really, for anyone in the US is probably aware, there's a big movement with the independent venues who are very much at risk of never being able to reopen. That's a national crisis in the US, and in New York, very deeply impacted. In fact, you know, a collective organization of New York independent venues at this point, I think, is suing the state for not being able to reopen. A lot of stuff going on. So, but the climate is, you know, it's starting to get better, but foreseeable future still unknown. And we'll get into it more, but in terms of our festival, obviously nothing live for this year for sure. And we pivoted in April and have done about 50, 60 shows, digital broadcast, and switched everything. Totally had to rebook. That of course was not the season that I booked or the artist that I booked, but pivoted to digital like many others. So that's where we're at.
Great. All right, we'll keep the same order. Why not? Gail, you're next.
Me? Yeah, so right now in Israel, there is, we can do events, open air events. Now it's still 500 people, open air, and you need to have a capsule of 20 people. This is to separate the capsule, and and this is about the open air. Now they're talking about to open also the venues to 60% of the capacity. And there is a lot of small local events in the neighborhoods, and in actually the most popular thing now is it's a show at homes that people invite artists to perform in their homes. It's become very popular for maximum, let's say 20 people, and there is a artists from all the scale that do things like that, also the big one and the small one. And there is an artist that for them it's not a solution, and they don't want to do things like that. But it's became very popular. And there is a lot of illegal parties, you know, in the forest, in the electronic events. That it's also something. There is a big wave of you know, like secret parties and events in different areas of Israel. And the future now, it's really unknown. We get some supports from the government, basic support, and that's it. In general, this is the situation right now. Yeah.
All right. Uchi?
Me? Well, in Mexico, the situation it's one of the most with most of the contagions of COVID are in Mexico. In terms of the festivals, right now everything is in standby. I think everyone is trying to think how we could innovate or present the festival in a different way. Luckily, Baidora, we could do it back in February. So next year we're still like processing like what kind of format it could be different for the festivals. And in general, well, in Mexico, we don't have the support of the government at all to do anything. Not even for like a normal employee, which is a lot of people working in the production. So everything is doing like very self-organized. No, there was like a funding event this week to help all the staff from all the festivals in Mexico that they are unemployed and with literally no activity. But yes, I guess the future is to rethink how you can use the space, an open air space, which I think is going to be like the most safe or secure place to do it. And of course, virtually, but to rethink how you can use a virtual space and not just do something that we've been watching the past months with all these streaming sessions. And how can you connect better with the artist directly and engage and create more unique experiences with the artists. So yes, in Mexico, I think all the promoters, independent promoters, and even big promoters are getting more united and more organized on how it can we can keep this live music industry alive. I don't know who's next.
Matu's next. Matu, actually, I've been doing some very interesting stuff in Mallorca with finding some alternatives I'd love for you to share.
Yeah, this year we had all of our lineup announced. We were going to do the festival in May. So we had around 60 artists already booked. And in March, when we had the state of alarm and the lockdown, we had to move dates. We moved to October originally for a few weeks until there was in June like something called here in Spain new normality. No, we had the lockdown. We went through a couple of phases, and then there was a new normality with a couple of new regulations for this. With this new normality, we could not make the festival as such. Mallorca Live has last year, for example, 33,500 people. So the restrictions did not permit that we would do a festival like we were planning. So we managed to change and adapt to the circumstances. And what we're doing right now is all of August and September. It's a cycle of during the weekends of concerts. It's up to 1,000 people with super strict restrictions of safety and protocols. Everyone is sitting down in tables, assigned places, and there's, we are doing it. We're now nearly gone through this month, but it's still a little bit uncertain in Spain. We're right now in a situation where the cases are growing a lot. Luckily, a lot of them are asymptomatic, so it's not as bad as it was in March, but there's a lot of, we don't know what will happen in a few days or in a few weeks. With all this, there's a new wave and it's spreading a lot here in Spain. But from the festival, yes, we're being able to adapt to this situation and do it in the way that we can with the restrictions, but everything is very regulated and very there's something that we call the cultura segura here, and Mallorca Live, I think, is one of the examples here in Spain that is being able to do something in this situation. And cultura segura means that, yeah, taking all the necessary measures so that it doesn't spread. But yeah, we are very lucky to be able, at least, I know that in every country, and mainly a lot in Latin America, it's very different. We are being able to do something this year at least. So that's super good.
Great. And I love how everyone's answer in different locations are so varied. It's just, even though it's kind of almost uniting us that we're sharing this similar experience, it's being played out in so many different ways in different cities, and it's changing every day. And now that the seasons are changing, we'll see how that changes things as well. Matu and I were actually speaking on a different panel for Mallorca Live's online sessions, which a term that I loved that we were discussing was, how do you steer the ship into the unknown? Like, you guys are all programmers, you're at the head of your festivals, at the head of your game. For both the artists and the festival promoters, how have you guys been dealing with so much uncertainty into the future? Has it been sort of more taking it day by day and sort of just doing the events that you can at the present time? Or have you really been focusing with your teams on coming up with future strategies or trying to do things digital? I know Uchi, you had a really great comment about, even into the future, trying to come up with innovative ways to interact with the artists more. Are there any advice given your experiences of how to sort of man your post as you have in the past with these sort of uncertain rules and futures that have been constantly changing?
I've been thinking about this because for the artist side also, I think festivals need to find a way to invest in new technologies, and to invest in this kind of new space that we have, that is the internet. From animation, from maybe building your own avatars for the festival, like really things that you can call futuristic in a way. Because what I've seen, at least the past months, is, and more that I'm working more into the gaming side right now, is how these two worlds also are kind of overlapping. So in that way, I think as a programmer or as working in festivals and events, I think it's a really great new way to think how you can even gamify your festival, or or analyze the space you really want to build in a more like in a more virtual way. Though I know, and what I have noticed is that some people that are very purists in the production of our event and how you go physically to an event, which obviously you cannot change that feeling, but you can complement it with these other experiences that you can build with maybe strategic partners that are more into tech, and kind of like rethink and kind of join like the stuff you really think it could work at the festival, no? And as I said, like, I think it's important to connect in a different way with the artists, because right now, I was telling Inigo, the head of Baidora, like, why would you bring a headliner of 10 people to Mexico in 2021, where maybe that investment of booking, you can say like, hey, take this fee and do an amazing show wherever you are, and build it in a collaborative way with us to make it unique and feel it like it's from the festival. So that's kind of like the ideas, at least I have, in how you can maybe do it like differently, and how can you find the right partners to do it. Yes, but that's, yeah, I don't know if someone has other ideas or thoughts.
well, for example, like Erika, for you to transition to having, you know, having a full live booked season and then having those 50, 60 digital events, how did you feel that that went? I know you have such a unique audience because of the types of events that you do. Did you feel that that audience was able to engage in the same way, or maybe it opened up to a different type of audience? How did you feel it went?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to just, it's been a traumatic, you know, turn of events in New York City. So there's a lot of human trauma on the ground and real world, like suffering around all the social you know, justice issues that are obviously affecting us every single day in this country. And that's above and beyond the health crisis, right? So, I mean, the pivot was not easy, and it's been very, very difficult. Because as a staff, you know, we were not prepared to do this. I don't know how to do digital content programming. That's actually not what I've done for my whole career. So it's a lot of learning. You know, whether or not it's successful or not, you know, it's a moving bar of what that means these days. But I mean, if I look at the positive, I mean, we have put some tremendous, amazing, cool shows out there. And when I started to try and think about what success would look like in digital for us, the fact that we're even doing it already is success, because we're a 30-plus-year-old institution that has been solely focused on bringing communities together through live music in real specific locations in New York City. The digital content world was not something we've ever been interested in exploring, because that's really not our ethos or even our mission as a nonprofit. So the fact that we were able to, as an institution, say that this is something that we wanted to do and make that pivot, I think is tremendous. And it's a real tribute to the staff that we have that was super nimble and just figured it out. And we talked a lot about building the airplane as it was flying through the process, a lot of stress and a lot of learning. But, you know, I think it's been important to stay in business. I think it's been able to maintain sponsorships and relationships. As an artistic director, I've been able to support artists and pay artists to perform with us, which for me, again, it depends what your merits of success are, but it's felt tremendous to be active. And moving forward, we're continuing to do this and now have plans to do it through the end of the year, which again is a real mindset shift about how this space can serve. I probably would say, in my opinion, although it's only my opinion, I don't think we necessarily serve the audiences we serve in real life, because in large part, we are very site specific. So we are built to serve Brownsville very specifically, not just Brooklyn, or the South Bronx very specifically. So are those very specific communities tuning in to see what we're doing in the digital space? You know, maybe not. Our general market, summer stage, global audience, I think, has really been interested in what we're doing. And I think we think a lot in programming about all the various communities and artists that we serve. So if we're talking about, you know, the salsa community, we did have something for that community. I don't know if they all tuned in, but at least we offered something that was authentic and true to us. Same thing with, you know, jazz or hip hop or many of the other genres we really champion and sort of see as core to who we are. But I think success is a moving target in this space with so much unknown, and especially for an organization that's about presenting live experiences for people and serving community. Because again, we're a nonprofit and we're mission driven. So we're about supporting those communities with live content and culture, not necessarily digital. So I think it will require some internal thinking about what does it mean to serve community in real life versus digitally. How can you do that successfully? What's necessary? And what do we as an organization have to do to have capacity to do that work? Because it is very different work. But I'm excited. We just actually launched just last week a new partnership with Amazon Music, which is a testament to what we've been able to do over the last couple months, that we secured them as a sponsor to help support our digital content. So we're tune in next week number 2. We're doing a great lineup of Latinx artists around solidarity and voter registration. And so, you know, lots more to come. But I think, you know, success is a hard thing to measure even in real, you know, concert life. Is it, do you gauge that on capacity, attendance, quality of art? You know, there's a lot of measures, but I'm glad we're still standing as a festival. And I think that is going to be the test of this time, is who's left standing after all of this, at least in the US.
Exactly. I think it's such an, Mata, did you want to chime in?
Totally, because I feel identified with what Erika was saying. No, for us, it's a lot about staying, going past this stage and staying alive. No, as a festival, we've started end of 2015. It's the first years of a festival. Take a lot of investment and a lot of work, and we've reached a point where the festival has already grown. So right now it's just a question of going through this period, and yes, I think we are managing quite well given the circumstances with this cycle. It's something we are super happy to be bringing forth live experiences in this situation. And yes, of course, the future is a little bit unknown in many senses. What happens with the restrictions, COVID on one side, with bands being able to travel, but also as a festival, what happens financially as well. Festivals, we have the audience that pays the tickets, and under an economic crisis, that could affect potentially the future. Then we've got the sponsorships. And we're already seeing like that big companies are already cutting the marketing budgets. And then we've got the government sponsorships, which is something that it's a political decision as well, no? What will happen in the next years and how they support festivals and cultures. Festivals are a big economic, they create a big economic impact in the regions, and that's why the government supports it. But yeah, it's important to know what will happen in the next years in regards to all this. But yeah, for us, it's a little bit what Erika was saying at the end. Surviving this moment, bringing forth culture, which is also like a political statement, and to be able to have live performances in the best measurements with the best measures possible, but not to, for me at least, I'm not a millennium, no? So I really like that we can still try to have live experiences and not go directly to the road of the digital, which is something that is already happening. But I really believe in live music, and that we can hopefully keep on having in the future live concerts and yeah.
I think the idea and the sort of the challenge of this moment is to figure out how to transform the experience. Okay, so we have these new restrictions. So how can we still stay standing? How can we transform some of our events to digital? How can we keep the live in certain ways? You know, what are the ways that, you know, can we incorporate gaming? Can we incorporate new audiences? I know that's something that has been really interesting for music conferences, exactly what we're doing right now. You know, Mondo is normally in New York City in October, and the attendees go and they're there in person for panels, but now we have people all over the world who are able to have this experience. Exactly. So, you know, it's about taking those challenges and transforming it into something positive. I know that, you know, as Erika, you're saying you programming now through the end of the year. So it's, you know, maybe that programming is more extended. And I know, Gil, I would actually love for you to talk a little bit about Inshallah, which is a project that we've been collaborating on, which is, you know, using the digital platform to sort of open up stages in the Middle East to come together, or in a way that they couldn't necessarily in just physical stages. If you want to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, first of all, Inshallah, it's a digital festival that seek to gather artists from all over the Middle East, and of course that in a regular in a routine with the regular situation, we cannot do something like that because the political situation in the Middle East. So for me, what is interesting in this period is it's to really, you know, to ask questions about what we are doing and what it serves. You know, what is the what is the role of the music and the art and culture in general, and to try work and find new ways of allow the people, you know, to experience art in a different way that in a regular times they cannot do it, or they cannot use to do it. So I think in a way it's very important, although it's very difficult, you know, and the future it's totally unclear, and there is a lot of things to worry about. But in the other hand, it's also opportunity to develop new models and new way of experience the art. So for me, it's very interesting. The challenge things for me, it's that now all my project is independent project. So I have to think also. I don't have some, you know, significant funds that I can trust on things like that. So I have also think also if I have a good idea, very good idea, and very, you know, unique idea. For example, for the last 1 month, I tried to develop kind of events that happening during that people walking. Let's see if we can have a live concert or live music or art experience, not in the way that we used to have it when we stand in the front of the stage. Let's see if we can do it while we're walking, and in a small groups, of course, and so all the time, you know, this is since it's happened. There is a lot of ideas, very interesting ideas that rising. The big challenge, I think, is to find how to make it also possible in the terms of the economic side of them. So this is the most because the restrictions it's also change all the time. They change, and you can plan something big. You know, for example, I told you now in Israel you can do events, open air events for 500 people, and you can start working on it, and in a and it can change suddenly. The situation, all the health, the COVID situation getting worse, so the government it changed the restrictions. So I think it's very important to keep it small, simple, and trying to get all the time new to work with the restrictions, to see it as advantage. That's what my general state of mind right now.
Great, that's super interesting. I love the idea of the walking concerts. It's all keeping us on our creative toes, right? We received a bunch of audience questions today. If we want, we could start going through them because there's a lot of good ones here. So from Christy was asking, are promoters moving forward with booking artists for the 2021 festival season? And also my next question to follow up with that is, you know, being an artist manager myself, you know, it's hard to think of what the artist should expect. I've received some offers for 2021, but I'm like, do I want to plan a tour? Do I want to put myself through all of that work for it to be canceled? There are some COVID cancellation clauses. If you guys have any experiences on that, if you've been thinking that far ahead, let us know.
I am not booking 2021. Although definitely I will say there are artists on the mainstream commercial space that are ready to go. As soon as permits get cleared on our side, we have about 11 concerts from pretty big artists for our ticketed event port series who would like to confirm now. Artists are a lot of US touring artists. I mean, that's where people are trying to make those commitments. The large festivals, from what I hear, are making those offers and really planning into 2021. I have not jumped off that ledge yet because, again, we're booking a series of 8 episodes for this digital content series. We're only in episode 2 and I still have 6 more to book. So I can't really think past that at this moment. And we're definitely thinking about what we'll be doing from now until the end of the year. We know we want to continue to do some digital content on a weekly basis just to continue to support the audience that we've developed and to serve a need that we think is there in terms of interest. So summer, not really there yet. And also, almost impossible to rebook. I mean, many of the artists that we had booked into the season were very anxious to get feedback and are rerouting those tours and ready to do that now. But frankly, I don't know if our venue will be full capacity. I don't know what restrictions will be in place. I don't know if we'll have as many dates based on the economic climate and our nonprofit, which, is not a commercial venture and relies heavily on sponsorship and government, grants and the like. So it's premature to make those kind of commitments. And also what remains to be seen is how much all of the big waves in the US in terms of the agencies closing. Most of the agents that I deal with are no longer with the mainstream agencies. Luckily, a lot of them seem to have spinned off and are doing their thing independently and still working with those artists. But how those deals are going to be structured, if we're going to be making the same level of offers, I just don't think we're there yet. I can't make financial commitments in the amount of instability that we're in, but I hope we get there. I mean, my biggest question is the hope and belief. I don't know belief, but certainly hope that we're going to be back to some level of normalcy by next summer. But frankly, none of us on this know where we'll be a year from now, because even tomorrow in this climate, I think for me, the biggest lesson is even tomorrow is not certain, right? I mean, that's the biggest takeaway of this whole moment is all the planning in the world. And we've really existed in a space where you could predict 6 months out or a year, and people plan 2 years out, right? Or 3 years out if you're a performing arts center. I mean, I think all of that will change the way that we work, the way that we think, the way that audiences want to commit in advance. There's so much still to not certain, and certainly, just not to take up too much time, but certainly for us, there's a huge global component. And I would say 40% of our artists come from abroad at some level, even if it's just the Caribbean. Who knows how long we're going to be on the blacklist because we can't figure our stuff out over here. So, we'll see. All of that remains to be seen. But trying to stay hopeful in all of it, I guess, is the key.
Yeah, definitely. There's another interesting question comes from, basically I'm going to kind of combine 2 questions because I think they're both interesting and sort of touch the same point. From Jonathan was asking about strategies for charging cover online. Are presenters paying production costs on top of the performance fees? How would someone calculate that? And Bern was asking, is there an expectation that the entire concert ticketing business might change? So sort of thinking of those questions, there's so many of these live streams and people are just consuming them for free. And then you have people like Erika Padu that charges $2 for a stream, and that sort of structure. It seems difficult in this day and age to say, okay, it's a stream, but now you have to pay for it. Any thoughts or ideas or experiences about how you think that could change in the future, or if you can envision doing digital concerts that you could charge for online, or any ideas of what that could possibly look like in the future?
I can talk again. I don't want to monopolize, so please, folks, let me know. But we've been doing a lot around this. In the very beginning, we were approached by several artists who wanted to do digital concerts and wanted us to be like a co-promoter on it, so that we could kind of get the word out. These were ticketed events at the time. We didn't see, they did fair amount of business, but I don't know how successful those were in terms of a model for ticketing, monetizing these digital concerts. But for what we do, because in real life, everything we do is free, I don't think we're interested or really looking at how to monetize them in terms of ticket sales. I will say I do imagine that this is something we'll have to evolve and think of creative ways to integrate a digital experience as a complement to the live experience. I mean, I don't have answers or even know what I'm talking about really, except to say, you know, there is an audience that we are now developing and serving who will not be able to come to New York in real life, even when we're back in business. And so we should, and hopefully will be thinking about how do you engage a global audience. There's some mission, you know, stuff in there because again, we're mission driven, meaning we are really made to serve New York City. And so do we change our ethos of serving communities globally, or, you know, and adjust our thoughts around that. So there's some work to do around kind of maybe rethinking that piece, but I can imagine the digital content to be a complement to the live. And then I will say, at least from my standpoint, deal structures, again, for free, and I'm sure everybody's dealing with them differently, but we are offering fees and then offering supplemental support, mutually agreeable, to make sure the production level is what we expect. Because at this point, nobody wants to see a bedroom concert. And to that end, artists don't necessarily have capacity, Wi-Fi connectivity, cameras, whatever, to get the kind of quality that meets with our expectations at this point. So we're working with management, and it's case by case, but usually an offer for the performance fee, and then talking about what the capacity is to present a mutually agreeable digital content capture, and working with them from a technical standpoint in the same way that we would work with them from a technical standpoint on the ground in real life. So trying to support the back end as well.
Yeah, I think on that part, I think it's all about how you value also your digital value in sense of from the artist side or from the festival side. Like I've seen some cases and examples which I have found interesting, like packages. I don't know, Lady Gaga did a package of you pay and you have a meet and greet, or it's how you package the reality, the experience, and also like what you're gonna give to the fans and who is the artist you're gonna work with. But yes, like these live streamings that suddenly promoters started doing in venues, I think it's fair, but depends also how you present it, what's the experience you're gonna give and the value you're gonna give. So I think that's very important to consider it, and not just doing a bedroom stream.
Right.
I think that unfortunately, from what I experienced, the live concert, the streaming live concert, it's a very bad product. I think that we are we still far away from to provide the experience that even close to the live event. It's so far away from there, and I think that what we need to be focused on is to think how we make it more interactive with the audience. How we, instead of sitting and see someone playing live, which I can see YouTube, you know, past concert from, it doesn't matter from where, it's same experience. It's not really matter that it's happening right now. So I think that the next stage, the next step, it's to think how we can do it, to involve the audience, to make them to be part of the experience. For example, it's a small example, but I really like it. That one of the artists in Israel, he did like she did like event that she took the audience to kind of tour in their own house, and gave them a way to discover the house in a new way. You know, so for me, it's something, it was mind-blowing, you know, to see something like that. It's not like, okay, now there is someone who playing live, and I cannot really experience the crowd and to be together. I think it will come back, you know, the live events, the gathering, it will come back. It's something in our nature. It's nothing gonna be instead of it, you know, in the experience. But in terms of live streaming events, it has to be very something that you feel part of the experience. And if you decide to do like live events, it has to be very very simple and authentic, and even not very in professional way, you know, that let the artist speak to his audience, discover new new things about him, you know, trying to get it outside of the box of the regular live concert. It won't work other ways in the streaming, for my opinion.
All right, so the time has been flying. It's crazy how fast this goes. We have one last combination question before we have Sofia's performance, which I'm super excited about. Hola, Sophie. So we have a few people have been asking. Brian was asking the advice for up and coming producers and DJs to get connected to festivals like yours. And just the chat went down. Aaron had a very interesting comment as well. Does anyone think that the futurist perspective that Uchi was discussing would provide entry for performers who wouldn't otherwise be able to enter this space? I'm a wheelchair-bound producer DJ and just began traveling to perform before the pandemic. I feel that this might be a watershed moment for people like me to learn the business and develop a following as it changes so radically. So maybe, you know, a couple different questions basically asking for artist advice, which I find super interesting. Maybe let's wrap up if each one of you want to give a little advice for artists and what they can do to either connect with you or to connect with the scene in general during this time where they can't really be touring and moving around.
Yeah, I can start if you want. I think for artists and also for live music this year, I'll give you a very like obvious insight. The startup funding for business of music and tech has been like the highest ever. So I think in terms of monetization, in terms of technologies that can help all these areas, on demand video, gaming, social audio, there's been like a lot of diversity that artists and festivals and live events can explore, such as, I don't know, a new platform called Kiwi that is for live music, like this new application I'm working at, Music Battles, which is a new way of distribute music through gaming. Like, I think right now we have on our eyes like a super growth of opportunity that can innovate our events and also innovate the way artists are presented to their audience or new audiences. So yeah, I feel artists can explore like various growth of opportunities in such a short term and in a long term. So I think it's a wide open door that we're entering in right now.
Okay, I'll say a little something, which is, I guess the only thing, I'm not that creative thinking about the long term, like the monetization and those things, because that's not like really what the space that I operate. But I will say I'm definitely recognizing in the US and even currently the real trend towards local, because even state to state you can't travel. So, you know, for example, just, you know, Massachusetts or New York, like you can play in those states, but you need to be from there because there's 14-day quarantines almost everywhere you go now. So, you know, I think there's a great opportunity for local artists that may have been overlooked in the past because there's an influx in summer of routed touring artists. So if you're local and you can really start to establish yourself and really promote yourself, I think there will be more opportunities as things start to open up even slightly. I do see artists that to me, you know, are not super well known, but are getting really, that seem to me, exciting booking opportunities. And I think it's really in large part because they're local and there are not many other artists available. Even the artists that are local, bands are dispersed and stuff. So again, if you're self-contained and you can be thoughtful about who you're quarantining with and make yourself available as things open up and people are trying to perform, I know presenters will be looking locally in particular. I don't know anything beyond that. I don't have any brilliant thoughts at this moment.
Yes, I agree with Erika as well. In our case, that we're doing this cycle of 2 months. We're doing everything national because of obvious reasons of travel restrictions, but it is true that it's more possibilities to look at the regional level. Both in the islands, because we are in Mallorca as an island, is apart from Spain. So both for Mallorcan bands and Spanish bands as well. So this is what is happening at the moment. Then for the future, I like what Lucia said about, yes, we're going through a new door, and I'm sure in this new door, there's a lot of space for new types of shows and for creative options to pop up. So I'm looking forward.
Gil, any last words of advice before we go to our musical break?
Now you can do whatever you want as an artist. Like, you have millions of options, and as a festival, I think you also have like lots of creative opportunities. It's not the same feeling to go to a festival or an event, but I think we're entering in a very exciting era for live events.
Yeah, I would say one other thought that I have is artists who have been hesitant or have not really spent time developing their digital footprint. I mean, and everybody has their own reason for maybe not wanting to do that or being interested to do that, and that's obviously everyone's choice. But if ever there was a time to really think about what your brand is and how you present online and what all of your platforms look like and how you're engaging with your fans and growing those fans, like, now's the time, and you can try it all now because you have no other choice. And then hopefully that will be a catalyst to when you are back live and performing and touring, you've spent some real time understanding where your audience is. Are they engaging with you on, YouTube, or more on Instagram, or are you developing a Twitch channel, or like, what are you doing to make sure that you as an artist have control of all of these platforms, so that when you're back in real life, you have an engaged audience and some real metrics to figure out where your audience lives and what kind of interaction that they are most receptive to in terms of your art. So maybe I just offer that.
Yes, I would also like to add, yeah, in our case, that we have people sitting down for hours in the same table. If you get up, you need to use a mask. So people stay a lot in the same place. The show is also very important. And this year, for example, we've opened up to more theatrical things as well, like Pura del Baos that we're having, and other things to do more of a show, because people cannot, it's like not permitted to have a dance place or stand up and dance. So it's also gives space to other things inside our festival, like more theatrical musical shows as well.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for all of this amazing advice. I know I and everyone else here on the panel really, really appreciates it. It's so nice to brainstorm together some alternatives and solutions and ideas and plug in a little bit of hope into the live music industry, which is all very necessary for us in this moment. And so I wanted to introduce our musical guest for the evening, Sofia Viola. I just moved to Berlin recently, and I've been living in Argentina for pretty much the past 10 years. And Sofia is one of my all-time favorite artists from Argentina. So I am so, so excited that we have her here tonight to share a song or two with us. So Sofia, let you take it away.
Thank you. Hi. One song. Your song, Ali.
Yes. Special request.
Alma Gitana. agotan versos para tu sonrisa. Y es que simpatizas a mi corazón y no quiero aferrarme a ningún buen amor, porque soy paloma en el cielo inmenso, no tengo nido, esto es un infierno. Y es que mi alma tan gitana y me hace ser del viento. Y es que mi alma tan gitana y me hace ser del viento. Y quiero llevarte por el mundo entero, pero es imposible, se me va el aliento. No quiero llorarte, te quiero y no quiero decirte todo esto que siento, y por más que yo intente seguir en silencio, si yo no lo canto me angustio y me muero. No quiero llorarte, te quiero y no quiero decirte todo esto que siento, y por más que yo intente seguir en silencio, si yo no lo canto me angustio y me muero. Yo vivo de amor y es por ti. Hoy vivo de amor y es por ti. No se agotan versos para tu sonrisa. Y es que simpatizas a mi corazón y no quiero aferrarme a ningún buen amor, porque soy paloma en el cielo inmenso, no tengo nido, esto es un infierno. Y es que mi alma tan gitana y me hace ser del viento. Y es que mi alma tan gitana y me hace ser del viento. Y quiero llevarte de aquí para allá y de allá para aquí, de aquí para allá, por el mundo entero. Pero es imposible, se me va el aliento. No quiero llorarte, te quiero y no quiero decirte todo esto que siento, y por más que yo intente seguir en silencio, si yo no lo canto me angustio y me muero. No quiero llorarte, te quiero y no quiero decirte todo esto que siento, y por más que yo intente seguir en silencio, si yo no lo canto me angustio y me muero. Yo vivo de amor y es por ti. Hoy vivo de amor y es por ti. Y es que mi alma tan gitana y me hace ser del viento. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. That song is Alma Gitana, which means gypsy soul. So I feel like for our international traveling panel, that was perfect.
Yes, for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bobby, Joanne, Paul, Jack, everyone on the Mondo team, Robert, Gil, Erika, Matu, Uchi, our panelists. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Ali.
And we will be back next month with Robert's panel to continue our international series, which will be the last one of our international series before the Mondo conference itself. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Allie, thank you. Sophia, wow, unbelievable. All over the world tonight. Gil from Tel Aviv, Matu from Ibiza, I think, is that right?
Yeah. Working in
Lucia
Mallorca, but from Ibiza.
Mallorca, Lucia from Mexico City, Erika from New York, Allie from Berlin, Joanne and me from New York as well. I want to thank you guys again. I cannot tell you how special this is to get our little world community to get together, talk a little bit, get to know one another, and enjoy some extraordinary music. So we wish you well, safety, good health from New York City, and we'll see everybody real soon. Good night.
Bye. See you next
Bye.
month.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.